Here we go. All right. Welcome to the OST, your opinionated sports talk show with your boy Brian. Debate, dispute, controversy. How's everyone doing today? I've been gone, but I'm back. Well, I've actually been gone. I was here last week. Every weekly show, do a sports talk show. Debate, dispute, controversy from the OST, the opinionated sports talk show with your boy Brian. Glad to have you in. Glad you're here. We got some stuff to talk about. Tweet at me at your boy Brian 25. Just give me one more second here. I got something else to do, which I always have to do, and that is share the love on Facebook and share it to all the groups, man. I want to thank the groups for allowing me to do this in the sports group. There's a lot of them. Let's see. Let's do that one. All right. I think we're good to go. So, welcome to the show. Like I said, the OST Opinion Sports Talk Show, debate, dispute, controversy with your boy Brian. Tweet at me, your boy Brian 25, and find me on all social media. We are on the podcast side is on iHeartRadio. Just go to iHeartRadio and Google in the search, put Opinionated Sports Talk Show. You'll see the logo right there, and there we are. So let me begin with this little intro, this little thing I have. Social media has become too much. People sometimes post things that are too personal, maybe they stuff that they shouldn't let other people know, but they seem to let them know. It's to a point where we need to back up on it. Now, the sports world has been overcome with technical difficulties here. Has been overcome with players getting in trouble because of their tweets and their Facebook posts and their Instagrams, and then we have wars with players versus players and head coaches versus head coaches and fans that get, it's good and it's bad. It's like a double-bladed sword, or a double-bladed knife. It's like either way you're gonna get cut from it. Because social media is to me, it's a good thing. People are like, I don't like Facebook, I don't like Twitter or Instagram or Snapchat or any of that stuff, and people don't like it. But I think it connected. Facebook, when it first came out and really started getting momentum, it connected me with a lot of my old friends from San Mateo that I kind of grew up with, my old friends from San Francisco that I would not talk to, or I haven't seen, or even haven't heard from in 20 years, and all of a sudden I see their faces and I get a chance to talk to them. So in that aspect, it's good. And then the aspect that is bad is like it gets to the point where people start posting very personal things, and then people get offended by it, and then people it gets in a Twitter war, a Facebook war, a Snapchat war, and it gets bad. In this case, in the sporting world, it is our, commander-in-chief, our president of the United States is on Twitter way too much. The guy needs to just do his job and run the country. Now, remember, this is my opinion. This is how I feel and what I think and what things that should be done. I'm not, like I said, it's a good thing. I think social media is a good thing. With the way the world is, it's in the world of now. Now. You can remember when you want to know if the Giants won the game or if your team won the game, you would have to wait to a certain time, 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 6 p.m., to watch it on the news. And then you had to watch it on Sports Center. You always had to wait to find out things. Oh, did Barry Bonds hit a home run? Did Will Clark hit a home run? Did whatever. You always have to wait. How many touchdown catches did Jerry Rice have? You have to wait. Now it's in the nowadays it's all right now. It's in the moment. You'll know instantly. As soon as it happens, there's a tweet. There's someone on the field tweeting. There's players that are tweeting and all this stuff and Facebooking and all this social media things right away. Now, our president, he got in this little Twitter war with LeBron James. Now, I usually don't care about these kind of things, but I have to say what Trump has done is completely, it's ignorant. It shows the person that he is and why I did not vote for him. Wasn't because he's a Republican. Doesn't matter that he didn't have any experience. That's, whatever. We can deal with that. It's the fact that he called LeBron out by saying, well, first of all, he went on Twitter a few months ago and said something like, he suggested that NFL players should be fired for disrespecting the flag when they take a knee, otherwise choose not to participate in the national anthem. Now, he is completely wrong, because we've talked about this, I've talked about it, and I see it happening all the time. People are they're missing the point of the kneeling. It has absolutely nothing to do with the flag. It has nothing to do with social media. It has nothing to do, not with social media, disrespecting the U.S. or not being patriotic. So he is completely wrong. Donald Trump, completely wrong for saying that. Okay, then he tweeted, let me read this. LeBron James, he opened a school, the LeBron James Family Foundation in Akron, Ohio, public schools. They opened a new school, an elementary school for at-risk children in his hometown in Akron, Ohio. Now, that's very noble. You don't own prisons. You don't open prisons. You open schools. You educate the people. You educate the youth. And then he was interviewed by CNN's Don Lemon on Monday. Let me show you how far this goes back. On last week, and LeBron James, and he said he was asked about Trump, and then LeBron said he felt that Trump is using sports to kind of divide us. I believe that somewhat is true. I don't think you could tell that. Obviously, Trump is not a sports guy. He probably never played a sport in his life. If he did, it was some, track or something. I don't know Donald Trump's history, so I'm not going to speculate on it. But I just think that he's getting involved in things that do not concern him. He has nothing to do with this. Let him run his country. Let him be the commander-in-chief and the president of the United States. Let him do his job. Putting himself in this position to get in a Twitter war with a basketball player seems kind of low. And the things he said, this is what he tweeted. LeBron James was just interviewed by the dumbest man on television, Don Lemon. Called the guy out, straight up name, Don Lemon, and called him the dumbest man on television, which obviously he forgot to look in the mirror. He made LeBron look smart, which isn't easy to do. I like Mike. Took a jab at him, the GOAT thing, Mike and him. Now let me just say this. For you guys that hate LeBron James, for you people that love LeBron James, people that don't even really care, you have to respect LeBron James for what he does off the court. Opening schools, businesses, giving back to his community. Now, I know every NBA player, every sport athlete does it, but it seems to be magnified. And I think when you're LeBron James, and it seems to be like LeBron James is doing a little bit more than the protocol asked by the NBA. He's opening schools, and every business decision he has made throughout his career has been spot on. None of his businesses have failed. None of them are bankrupt. None of them are doing bad. They're doing good. He's doing good businesses. He's doing good business with his businesses. Let's say it like that. And so he takes a stab at Trump. Trump tweeted. He waited. The interview with that on CNN was on Monday last week. Trump tweeted Friday. So it kind of got lost in translation. It was like, what happened all week long? I don't even know if LeBron caught it. Oh, let me rewind. Trump's waited 4 days. Yes, Friday, I believe. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. He actually tweeted on Friday. And it just seems, by calling a successful businessman like LeBron James dumb, or saying that this television guy made him look smart, it shows how dumb Trump really is. Even you Trump supporters, people that voted for Trump, have to say, wow, that didn't make any sense. Now, if LeBron was failing his businesses, went bankrupt in a couple businesses, closed some down, maybe you have a little argument. Maybe you have some room to say, okay, maybe he is not that bright of a businessman. But LeBron James has built an empire with the LeBron James Foundation. He has done everything in his life correctly. Like I said, if you're a Jordan fan and you don't like LeBron, or if you're just a Durant fan, whatever, you don't like LeBron, you have to respect that this guy is never in the news for any controversy. He's never been accused of anything: infidelity, cheating, gambling, punching players in the face. He's never been a part of any of that. Everything that he has done has been positive. Yeah, he may flop sometimes. Yeah, he may whine on the court sometimes. Maybe he has a bad hairline. I don't know what the reason is. People hate the guy. People hate greatness, and that's like a normal thing. People hate Tom Brady because people hated the Yankees in the 90s. People just seem to hate when their team or when greatness is happening in front of them. So this is what it gets me to. A multi-millionaire African-American black man, LeBron James, tweets, gets a shout out from Donald Trump. Donald Trump replies. It goes back and forth, a little Twitter war. Now, I've heard Steve Kerr, Popovich, I've heard other famous white athletes say something about Donald Trump, and I haven't seen any response in Trump against the white man. I'm not turning this into a race thing, but it seems he has an issue with LeBron James. He has an issue with what he said, but he called Don Lemon the dumbest man on television, which, you can't be any more blunt than that. And that is our United States president. That's our commander-in-chief. He's calling a businessman dumb. He's calling a successful black millionaire, sports athlete, businessman, like LeBron James, dumb, just because. And in Trump's view on the anthem, it just shows you how he is completely wrong about this anthem thing and saying he's disrespecting the flag and all that. He is wrong, just like many Americans are wrong. They got it twisted why this protest is going on. So I just find it very, I don't know, I find it kind of like, just, I don't want to say disturbing, but very dumb of Trump to do this. Come on, man. You can't call someone on CNN, you can't call another man dumb and then say a successful businessman, sports athlete like LeBron James, who was doing something good, who was being interviewed for opening a school in Akron, Ohio. I don't know. It just seems like Trump needs to stay off of Twitter, leave sports alone. Even Barack Obama, who was a sports fan, he let it be known that he's a Bears fan and a Cubs fan, and he's from Chicago. He was very proud of that. Even he didn't get involved, in that kind of aspect of all that issues. So, but then we've come to learn that's what Trump does. If you don't like LeBron for whatever reason, too good, cries, flopped, he's on their team, respect what he does off the court. if you were outside looking in, you didn't know he played basketball, and you saw what he did, you'd be like, that's a good man right there. And Trump should do something along those lines. He'd be like, I don't agree with the kneeling, which many Americans do. I don't like LeBron James personally, but what he's doing right now is absolutely great. So, hold on one second here. I'm looking for someone on the computer. Oh well, I can't find it. So continue with this anthem thing. I personally think that it shouldn't be an issue. Let these players protest as much and as when and as much as they want to. Before the game is 100% fine with me. Dak Prescott said something last week. I'm going to talk about your Dallas Cowboys right now, Eric. And Greg, you guys are always saying I say negative things about the Cowboys. Well, I'm going to start with some negativity for the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott has been catching a lot of flack for his comments about the national anthem and the protest. I feel strongly about what I said is what he said after his interview. He said he said earlier, I believe it was last week, he did not believe in the anthem was the right venue. Believe the national anthem was not the right venue to protest social injustice. He got a lot of flack for it. Even I gave him stuff. I called him he's a product of Jerry Jones. He's Jerry Jones' boy now. He's a quarterback of a quote-unquote America's team, which I don't like to call him that because that was a phrase coined back in the 70s by the Dallas Cowboys and people of Texas. So we're in a free country. You can say whatever you want about what you want. That's what's great about this country. You have an issue with something, you can say it. But I feel, in my opinion, that a lot of people I have to disagree with Dak Prescott. It is a perfect venue, great time. He's catching a lot of flack for that, and it seems like, I'm glad that he's standing up for himself and he's protecting himself. Now, like I said, my boy Greg and Eric, Dallas Cowboy fans, and I got a message last week that I always talk negative about the Dallas Cowboys. Well, I'm not talking negative about Dallas Cowboys. I think Dallas Cowboys are a great team. I think they'll have a decent season. I don't think they'll be as good as they were. I think the Giants are stronger in that division this year with acquiring Saquon Barkley, making some offseason moves and bolstering the offensive line and the tight end position as well. So I don't think they'll maybe 10 wins. Maybe if they're lucky, if they go sneak out a win from someone else, they'll have 11. But I just don't think they're gonna be a dominant team in the NFC East this year. Dak Prescott, as good as he is, he's still learning. Jason Garrett, I don't believe, is that great of a head coach, but Dallas has a solid team. They're a team that will play good this year, but not as dominant as they have been. Let me stick to football. I have a lot of stuff to cover here. So, I just find it, Trump needs to stay off Twitter with LeBron James. Maybe LeBron James needs to stay, don't get Trump involved kind of thing. I don't know. It's a situation that social media has almost ruined sports figures. I mean, there's been players getting fined for their tweets, for their Facebook posts, for their Snapchats. It's becoming too much. It's becoming an issue, and it's almost. I mean, if you think about people always talk about era. But Joe Montana played in a different era than Tom Brady. LeBron played in a different era than Michael Jordan. Can you imagine social media with those players back in that era that you guys like to talk about? Can you imagine players like Bill Laimbeer on Twitter, Michael Jordan, Dennis Rodman on Twitter, on Snapchat? Can you imagine the Snapchat posts that you would see from Dennis Rodman? Can you imagine the anger and the Twitter battles between Jordan and Patrick Ewing? I think social media at this point has become too much, and it's almost ruining sports. It's not ruining sports. Let me take that back. Let me rewind it. I wouldn't say it's ruining sports, but it's becoming an issue in the sporting world. Like Antonio Brown last year, I believe it was last year, maybe it was the year before. He did that video of him in the locker room, and it had the coach talking smack about New England, and then he got fined for it, and he had to apologize for it. I thought he was completely wrong. But that's just something that's what I'm talking about. Social media has gone too far with these sports athletes. I just think that they need to tone it down. Maybe I know the NFL has rules and regulation that they're not. I don't know about basketball, but like they're not allowed to tweet or any social media for 2 hours until after the game has been over. That's a good rule, but they need to figure something out because social media and sports almost seem not to mix, and it's becoming more and more of an issue, especially when you have a president who seems to has an issue with the NFL and all this kneeling down stuff. It just seems too much right now. What else happened? What else happened in the sports world? I've been saying, if you listen to the podcast or if you know me, ever since I can remember, I've always said that the Hall of Fame is a joke, especially in Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball is probably the bigger joke of all sports in Hall of Fame, I should say. I just think... Hold on, someone sent me a message here. I just think that... How should I say this? I agree. Let me just say it bluntly. I agree with Terrell Owens. I don't agree that he didn't go, but I understand why he didn't go to his... If you don't know, Terrell Owens is selected to the NFL Hall of Fame, but he skipped the Canton to protest. And the reason he protested, let's get this straight, people, is that has nothing, just like the protest of the kneeling, it seems like, I hope it doesn't get lost in translation, that the reason he was protesting has nothing to do with the Hall of Fame and the players and the building or the NFL. He is protesting the flawed process of the Hall of Fame, is exactly what I've been talking about for a very long time. The way these players are voted in, the way they get into the Hall of Fame is asinine. It is dumb. It doesn't make sense. And Terrell Owens is completely correct by saying it is a flawed system. He expressed the other day that he has no regret missing the Hall of Fame. He criticized the voting process. I believe he's probably, if you talk about best players, best wide receivers in the game, you have to mention Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens, Randy Moss. Those are my three in that order. When you have numbers, when you have more touchdowns and catches, and not by just a small margin, we're talking about a large margin, than Marvin Harrison or Tim Brown, all these other players that are in the Hall of Fame, Andre Reed. We have to figure out. They have to figure out. I already know my system, my opinion on the Hall of Fame and way it should be done. But what is the guidelines again? Do you have to reach a certain amount of catches with touchdowns, or you taking it personal and not getting into the Hall because you taking it personal, not voting for the Hall of Fame player to be in the Hall of Fame? I should say. Got a lot of tongue twister right there. Taking it personal or thinking the player is a bad seed, bad teammate, just because he did sit-ups in his driveway one time and televised it, and you're not going to vote him in because of those, but yet his numbers are double, if not 3 times better than the players that are already in there. It doesn't make sense to me. Players like Terrell Owens, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, in Major League Baseball. These guys, there shouldn't even be a voting process. When you have these numbers, Barry Bonds, there should never be a voting process for a player like Barry Bonds. Albert Pujols, Alex Rodriguez, when these guys are eligible for a Hall of Fame, they should just go in. Peyton Manning, just go in. Drew Brees, Tom Brady, just go in. There should be no voting process. The only time they vote, they should have a voting process, is when there's questionable. Was he good enough? What did he do in his career? And don't count championships into the aspect because, again, that's a flaw. That's another flaw in the system. Well, Terrell Owens never won a Super Bowl. No, his teams that he played for never won a Super Bowl. The Eagles let them down. That defense let them down when they were in the Super Bowl and let New England and Tom Brady come back to win that game. They had the lead, so it wasn't Terrell Owens' fault. It was the defense's fault. How is that Terrell Owens' fault? So I agree with Terrell Owens skipping. Well, I agreed with the reasoning why he hit, but I think he later in his career when he gets older, he's going to regret missing the Hall of Fame ceremony and all that. He had his own little ceremony for a Hall of Fame at the University of Tennessee in Chattanooga, where he went to college, and I'm fine with it. I'm okay with it. I like that he is standing up for something that, I mean, it's not a big issue. It's not like, why the kneeling began with the social injustice or cops killing kids or the one percenters and taxes. It's not nothing like that. It's just a flawed system in the Hall of Fame. And I 100% agree with it. I 100% agree with it. This system in the Hall of Fame is completely wrong. Now the Hall of Fame, this is where it gets more diluted, more wrong, more controversy. Now the Hall of Fame is thinking about changing the rules and saying that a player that gets nominated into the Hall of Fame has to attend or he will not become a Hall of Famer. Completely makes no sense. It makes zero sense that you are forced to go to the ceremonies of the Hall of Fame. You should be honored. There should be no doubt in your mind that you want to go, but don't force anyone. It's a free country. Like I said earlier, you have the freedom to go or not go. But to sit there and try to force these players to go doesn't make sense. It's not a good, it would be a bad rule if they made that. Now, it's going to be a situation. I don't think it's going to be a situation, I should say. I don't think it's any players that I could think of in my era or in the era coming up with these players that I could think of right now that will be Hall of Famers. I don't think they'll have any problem with. I think this is a one-time thing. I think Terrell Owens is going to be the first player to make his mark and not go into the and not be at the Hall of Fame ceremonies. Now, I do believe the system is flawed. I'm 100% behind Terrell Owens. It is a very, very flawed system. I think it's a system that really, really needs to be reevaluated. It needs to be changed. These sports writers that do all the voting, they are 100% taking it personal and are. I mean, Terrell Owens' numbers are just astounding. And look at his numbers. 15,934 receiving yards, 153 touchdowns, 1,078 catches. While he in his NFL career he played for San Francisco, Dallas, Buffalo, and Cincinnati. Buffalo and Cincinnati wasn't a very good much of his career, but Dallas, Philadelphia, maybe he was a bad teammate. Maybe he was a prick. Maybe he was like Barry Bonds. They said he was mean to kids and didn't sign autographs. Okay, he's a jerk. I get it. Okay. But what he does, the Hall of Fame is not the Hall of Morals. It's not Hall of he didn't sign autographs or the Hall of Great Teammates. It's the Hall of Fame, and the way to get in the Hall of Fame is by the numbers you put up on the field. Has nothing to do with if he's a great person. You know, Cal Ripken did not even sleep in the same hotel as his teammates. He had a separate hotel. I mean, not hotel room. I'm saying hotel when they traveled, because he didn't want to be around his teammates. He said, he goes, I'm with them all the time. I just wanted my own space. Yeah. That was just reported. I don't know how much water that holds or leverage that really is true. But 100% behind Terrell Owens. I think he could have, my personal opinion, I think he could have did a little better. I think he should have went to the ceremony and then protested it, made a statement about it. He's going to regret missing the ceremony and giving a speech and all these other things that these players do. Shannon Sharp today on one of his shows was talking about how they go into the room with all the other Hall of Famers and they're clapping for them. That, you know, you have these Hall of Fame, these great players of, you know, clapping for you and honoring you're part of a family, you're part of a crew, and you don't even show up. That part he's gonna regret. But why he did it, I am completely 100% behind him on it. The system is completely flawed, and it is a bad system. And I don't think I don't think what he did was wrong. But I think he's going to regret it later in life. And he is completely correct by saying it is a flawed system. If you look at the Hall of Fame and the players that are in, you know, but he went on to say it's not because he didn't get voted in or how many times it took him to get in. But I think it does. But he has to remember, 75% of wide receivers in the Hall of Fame never went in on the first ballot. It's just a known fact in NFL Hall of Fame. I just think that he is correct. It is a flawed system, especially in Major League Baseball. They need to fix it. They should have a percentage of people that vote and take those percentages, and people with a certain amount of percentage points gets in. You have to have, 80%. You know, most of your voting should be done by your peers, coaches, owners and staff of your era, and then there should be a percentage of fans and a percentage of the writers and people that that keep stats and follow them all around and stuff like that. No, I'm behind you, T.O. I'm behind you. I think you're gonna regret it, and you're gonna miss. You're going to regret all that stuff that you got to miss. But, the Hall of Fame system is flawed. It's completely wrong. Terrell Owens has a legitimate argument. But let me say this, man. I don't watch the Hall of Fame. I really don't. I give 2 cents of crap about the Hall of Fame in all sports. I think it's just a big show, another way to make money, promote the league. I really don't care. Like I said, I think it's the Hall of so-so. If they're going to say Hall of Famous, that's a good name instead of the Hall of Fame, because it's not the best of the best in these Hall of Fames. But anyway, I didn't watch the Hall of Fame, but I did hear stories about Ray Lewis's 33-minute speech, how motivational it was and how great it was and all that. That's good. But I've also heard how Randy Moss's speech and what he did, it was he stole the show. Randy Moss apparently wore a tie that had the names of all the victims on the tie, of all the victims that were shot by police officers, and nothing was done. I thought that made a huge statement. That's what the kneeling is for, so people get it straight. That is what the kneeling's for, not because of disrespecting America or anti-American or not all that, all that weird stuff. I just think I keep saying that I think. I got to change my pattern of everyone has a pattern when they talk of how they transition and their way of pausing. And I've been saying I think. I don't think I should say that. So I like that. I thought Randy Moss's speech was very inspirational. He stole the show. His tie was fantastic, they said. So kudos to Randy Moss. Let me mention, you see the shirt behind me here. Check out this app called Sports Connect Us. Can't see it. It says Sports Connect Us. Or go to www.sportsconnectus.com. It's an app that you download on your phone, and it connects people through sports. I mean, you pick a category. You're a football guy. Go to football. You get the post pictures. You see pictures, make comments, like, and all that stuff. It's a pretty good app called Sports Connect Us. Also, check out, if you like energy drinks, check out Guru Energy Drinks. It's an organic energy drink. Guru energy drink. It's called Guru. Very good energy drink. Try them out. Got a lot of football to cover. And talk about the Conor McGregor fight coming up soon. So, the number one pick by the Cleveland Browns a few years ago, Johnny Manziel. He got to play in his starting debut in the CFL. He said he's going to go there and make a comeback and show everyone how wrong he was and all this stuff. Cleveland's number one overall pick. Well, didn't go too well. The guy completely bombed. He threw four interceptions in the first half with no touchdowns. His interception total, 4 interceptions, have been the highest in all of sports. The CFL this year, excuse me. He was 11 for 20 for 104 yards, and then he took him out of the game. Some people just don't have it. Okay, before, and I know I'm going to switch, and before I talk about some football teams and make some predictions and all that stuff, I want to talk about the Conor McGregor, I'm not even going to try to say that guy last names, but the Conor Khabib fight that's coming up on October 6th in Las Vegas. Conor McGregor, it's been a long time since he fought in the UFC. Last time we saw Conor McGregor when he fought Mayweather. But this is going to be a good challenge. Conor McGregor is 21-3, and Khabib is 26-0. Very impressive record. He has not fought in the UFC since 2016, so it's been a while since he's fought. I think if I had to give a prediction right now, I think the time off that Conor's had and the issues he had taking a plea deal for what happened, what he did at the Barclays Center, and taking a plea deal so he doesn't do any jail time and doesn't do any he doesn't have a criminal record, and he hasn't fought in the UFC since 2016. He had a boxing match against Mayweather. He's had problems in the past with grapplers. He's one of the most fierce strikers in the UFC. He comes at you with good angles. He has great feet work. Is it feet work or footwork? Footwork, I believe. Correct me on my English there. I just think that Khabib, if he's a very good wrestler, he's relentless in his pressure that he could put on McGregor. I think those are. I'm gonna have to go with Khabib on this fight. Like I said, McGregor struggles with grapplers before. I think Khabib's issue is going to be ranging his distance from McGregor in his striking. He's going to have to find out how to, because Conor is a very good, rangy southpaw fighter. And the later rounds that this is going to be able to go is not going to favor Conor. It's going to favor Khabib. As we've seen before, Conor kind of fades in the later rounds. He's not as aggressive. He gets a little winded, as we saw in the Mayweather fight, which is longer than a UFC fight. But I just think his grappling, if he's able to take control, get a ground and pound, I think it's going to be a very good fight. And I think I'm going to go with Khabib on this, because Khabib, but let me say this though. Khabib's never fought. He's never faced and never fought a striker with such precision as Conor McGregor does. So that's going to be his issue, is distancing himself. And Khabib is known for fighting straight up, having his chin up. He doesn't protect himself very well from the striking, but he has a very good chin to take punches. So I think it's going to be mainly because of the endurance, the grappling issues that Conor's had with Nate Diaz and in the past, and other UFC fighters that he's faced kind of gave him a little bit of an issue. And the layoff that he hasn't fought since in the UFC since 2016, and the distraction of the incidents in the Barclays Center, throwing a metal chair or table at a bus that the UFC fighters on. I think it may be a little too much for Conor, too big of a hill for him to overcome right now. I think Khabib is going to win this if he can keep his distance from that very precise left hand that Conor throws. My phone got charged real quick. Here we go. Y'all saw my password just now, huh? So let's switch back to the NFL. I got a lot of time to talk a lot of NFL. NFL's here, football's here. I love football. You cannot tell me anything is wrong with football. Football is the best. So glad it's here. It's the dog days of summer. I know, my friends that are Dallas fans are already, it's a preseason game number one, but it's a big issue to them that Dallas 49ers are playing. I care less about preseasons. I actually think, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I think preseasons, they shouldn't have preseason games. They really don't. College doesn't have preseason games. I just think they're risking health. They're risking, potential injuries. There's no need for it. I really don't. I think preseason should not be. They shouldn't have a preseason. I'm getting distracted. Can't do two things. I can't chew gum and walk at the same time. So let's talk about the NFC East. My prediction on the NFC East, very simple. It should be everyone's prediction. If anyone predicts any other team, even if you're a Bills Jets fan or a Dolphins fan, definitely you have to go with the New England Patriots. I think the New England Patriots, even though Tom Brady is over 40 years old, 41 years old, the Patriots have won at least, I think they're going to go 13-3. I think they'll have the best record in the NFL, unless there's a surprise team this year. But 13-3, 12-4 will be the record. The Patriots have won 13 games in 4 of the past 9 seasons. So with that in mind, think about it. 13 wins, 4 of the past 9 seasons they've had 13 wins 4 times in the last 9 seasons. With that alone, there shouldn't be a reason why you wouldn't think they're going to win the division. Also, they've won the NFC East 10 straight years. 10 straight years they've won the East. So why wouldn't they win the East? They did lose Malcolm Butler, Danny Amendola. They traded Braden Cooks, got rid of him. Nate Solder, Cam Fleming, Deion Lewis, and they also lost Matt Patricia, who's now in Detroit. I think the pivotal game for them will be Week 15 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think the Steelers have a very good year too. But the Pats have won. Let me put this up here so I don't look down. The Pats have won the past 5 matchups against the Steelers. The outcome of this game in Week 15 could be could determine where the AFC game is played at this year. So easily New England wins that division hands down. They've won it 10 straight years. They've won 13 more games in the last out of the last 9 seasons. They've won 13 games or more. So I don't see why they wouldn't win this division. Tom Brady goes down. We'll see what happens. I think the Jets will be better, a little better than they've been in the past. I think the Jets will go 6-10. They got Sam Darnold sitting there. I'm not a big Sam Darnold fan. I know he's a big, strong guy. He has great footwork. I always get that wrong. And they got a good cornerback. They boosted their defensive backs this year with Tremaine Johnson. But I just don't see them winning very many games. 6 games at the most. I see the Jets winning. The pivotal game will be Week 5 against Denver. The first 4 games are against Detroit, Miami, Cleveland, and Jacksonville. They could be 2-2. They could be 3-2 at that point. So they can have a winning record, and if they can beat Denver, they can easily be, 5-3 at that point, or they could be 2-3, and either way, that's the game that's gonna define how they play the rest of the season, I believe. Let's be real. The Jets have had a very bad defense in years. And with the Broncos and their defense, if Denver shuts down the Jets, which I think Sam Darnold will be playing in, I think the Jets, if they can shut them down, the Jets won't score, and the Jets would absolutely be horrible. But the worst team in that division, well, not the worst team in that division, will be the Miami Dolphins. Sorry, Kevin. Miami Dolphins are 3-13 this year. They'll be 3-13 this year. They'll win 3, maybe 4 games if they're lucky. Quarterback Brian Tannehill has missed the past 20 games for the Dolphins. And if he misses another, then you're gonna have Brock Osweiler, whatever his name is, Brock Osweiler, or David Farrell will start in his place. That's the main reason for giving Miami their worst record since 2007. Miami's always had a decent record. They always fought to win games, but this is not their year. 3 games at the tops they're going to win. I don't see them winning more than 3 or 4 games. Their scheduling is not on their side. Tannehill has not proven that he's an elite quarterback. He's missed 20 games. We'll see how he plays then. And with Brock Osweiler as their backup, I just don't see it happening. They did add Danny Amendola, offensive guard, and Josh Stitton, and they have a good rookie corner safety, not cornerback, in Micaiah Fitzpatrick. But they did lose Jarvis Landry, and Dominic Sue, so weakens up the defensive side. Now, the worst team in that division, I don't think there's a pivotal game for them. Miami Dolphins, they can only win 3 games. But they're not going to be the worst in the division. The worst in the division is going to be the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills, lucky if they win 2 games this year. I just don't see them. They're going to rely. Here's how it's going to work. They're going to rely on LaShawn McCoy racking up yards. And with a very high running game and a low-risk quarterback game and a very shady defense, I just see them losing 15 to 14 games, the Browns will not be the worst team in the division in the NFL this year. I feel it's going to be the Buffalo Bills. And with only a running game, what they're going to defenses are, it's going to be easy for them. They're just going to stack the box, which means a quarterback will have to take the chances of getting the ball downfield. He's going to have to shoot that ball downfield. And I'm not a big fan of Josh Allen. He was the least accurate. He had the most turnover. He was the most turnover prone in the quarterback draft out of all the quarterbacks draft last year. So, 2 games at the very most. Very shady defense, no offense. They're going to stack the box to stop the run, and they're not going to be able to get past that because the quarterback situation is nowhere near being fixed. I don't know if Josh Allen is going to be the answer over there. So that's just, like I said, worst record in the NFL this year is going to be the Buffalo Bills. That's what I'm going to think. I'm trying to switch over to the NFC East. I got this long list of paperwork that I've been going through, and I already did the NFC East, AFC East. Oh well, I can't seem to find them. Look how thick my paper is, people. That's a lot of index cards, as it's told. NFC East, here we go. All right, found them. For the last few minutes, I'll talk about the NFC East because I did the AFC East. NFC East, Eagles are going to win the division. They'll probably be one of the top seeds in the playoffs this year. Carson Wentz is back. They'll go 12-4. With Carson Wentz back and playing like he did, if he can play like he did last year before his injuries, he was kind of being talked about as an MVP candidate. They are coming out. I don't think they'll have a Super Bowl hangover. I expect them to be the NFC East division winners easily. Now to the Dallas Cowboys fans, Greg and Eric and all you Dallas Cowboys fans. Like I said earlier, if they're lucky, they'll win 10 games. But I think they go 9-7. I feel much better about the Cowboys. I would feel much better about the Cowboys if they made more moves in the receiving section, position in the offseason. Dak Prescott took a step back in his sophomore year. Can he elevate his game back to the way he played his rookie season? Ezekiel Elliott, solid running behind the offensive line that opened up holes big enough for a VW bug to drive through. They've had issues with Des Bryant. He's gone, but they still got the Jerry Jones factor, and I feel that's always weighs big on them. When they win, Jerry Jones is happy, the team's happy, they play well. When they start losing, things get a little disarray in that locker room and stuff. Ezekiel Elliott should play the whole slate rather than sitting out 6 games when the Cowboys went 3-3 without him. I think their scheduling is decent. It's not too hard, not too tough. I think they'll win. I think the pivotal game will be against Week 10 against the Eagles. If they could beat the Eagles, I know they split last year. It'll be that's going to be the game. Week 10, Dallas and the Eagles. 9-7 for the Cowboys. That's my prediction. Won't make the playoffs. The Giants will be a better team this year. That's why I believe that Dallas will struggle. this year is the Giants made a lot of improvements. Saquon Barkley, I think, is a great fix. I think having a great running game and a quarterback has proven that he can play well is not a one-dimensional offense anymore. They got Odell Beckham back, healthy. They bolstered their offensive line, and like I said, in their tight end position as well, they bolstered that as well. I think the pivotal game for them will be Week 4 against New Orleans. But I think the Giants building on the offensive side, and it all relies and hinges on how well Eli plays. With that team getting better, I think that's why Dallas will only win 9 games. 9-7 for the best. If they're good, if they have a good game, and they can beat the Eagles, they'll go 10-6. But they're not going to make the playoffs, I believe. The Giants, what did I have the Giants at? Giants, I have them going 7-9 this year. I think a 7-9 record will be it's a huge improvement for that team after struggling last year. And I think pulling in the bottom of that division will be the Washington Redskins, of course. I think they'll go 5-10, 5-11 maybe, I should say. Maybe squeak out one more win and go 6-10. Kirk Cousins was the Washington Redskins offense. He was. Now you got who I don't think is. I think he's an overrated quarterback in Alex Smith. I don't think he's a great quarterback. I think he's very smart, very athletic, but he can't get the ball downfield. He doesn't have the arm strength. His accuracy on balls thrown 15 yards or more is not very stellar. He's a check down quarterback. He throws to a lot of tight ends. He led the NFL in passes under 5 yards. Yeah, Manziel choked. Manziel had a horrible opening game, but some people just, I think Manziel's problem is in his head. I think if it's his act together, he can play. We've seen it, but there are players. This kind of proves my theory that the NFL is on a higher level than in college. How many great college players have there been in the NFL that got drafted in NFL, went number 1, went number 2 in the first round, whatever, but absolutely were horrible in the NFL. It's a whole different game plan. You have smarter people, you have bigger people, you have faster people, I think the IQ in the NFL is a lot larger than the IQ in college. College players have a lot more to focus on. School, their lifestyle is not as extravagant and is not as comfortable as NFL players. But I just think that players like John Manziel and Brian Bosworth and even Jamarcus Russell, Ryan Leaf, Tim Tebow had these great college careers. Tim Tebow may be one of the best, may be in the top 10 best college quarterbacks of all time. Vince Young, top 10 quarterbacks of college of all time. Matt Leinart, great players. Get to the NFL, absolutely fall on their face. So some people they have the natural ability to play at one level, but when they get to a next level, they can't do it. So, Trump, what'd you write there, Greg? Trump's wife wants to tour LeBron's school and said what's funny about this Trump and LeBron thing is the first lady supported and likes LeBron James. And here we have the president, our commander-in-chief, calling a CNN network guy dumb, a CNN network host the dumbest guy on television. Then he's calling a sport athlete like LeBron James, who was considered one of the best basketball players ever to play the game, saying, "Oh, he made him look smart, and that's not easy to do." So literally calling him dumb. Like I said earlier in the show, if you're a LeBron hater, you have to respect what he does off the field. And that's just hands down. LeBron James goes above and beyond. I know every athlete, they have what they have to give back. They have to do charity work for, certain charities that the NFL runs. The NFL is a non-profit organization as it is, so they have to do a certain amount. And it's also a great tax write-off when you own your own foundation. Every player does it, and I think it's a good thing. But LeBron James goes above and beyond. So let me just say thank you guys for joining me. Find me on iHeartRadio. I was a little off today. I wasn't feeling it very well today, but I'll bring the heat. I'm thinking of doing another Thursday show, Monday, Thursday, but we got Thursday Night Football, so I don't know if I'll do it Thursday. But thank you guys for listening on the OST, the Opinionated Sports Talk Show, Debate, Dispute, Controversy. Shout out to Sports Connect Us and Guru Energy Drinks. Have a good night, and I'll see you guys next week.